Rockets red, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the frame. You're the home of the brave.
Now come the days of the king.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Let's just put every meme we know together and have everyone singing. And we are singing here tonight live. We've decided that since the caucus and primary season will be incredibly short, and since there's a single person left running against Donald Trump, we might as well just go live for Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy and Don Jr. and Tim Scott, and we have a live feed live from New Hampshire tonight with all of them speaking on the stage very, very soon. Royce, I don't know if we can put up maybe like a little preview of the live feed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are monitoring, of course, wouldn't keep anything from you. We are monitoring live Donald Trump's jet. There's like a flight tracker, so we're going to see when it lands and everything like that. And obviously on that jet are going to be some bombshell speakers, Donald Trump himself, Vivek Ramaswamy, and we'll be capping off the final event in New Hampshire before the primaries. Primaries tomorrow. Voting starts tomorrow, 7 a.m. in New Hampshire. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we will have our primary process beginning, and we will see what happens. Now, Donald Trump is leading by some 30 points, Nikki Haley in the polls. So we expect that, well, between 30 and 20 points, depending on the poll that you're looking at. So we expect that to sort of hold strong, right? But there is a large contingency of Democrats, obviously, who love to vote for Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is funded exclusively by Democrat donors. Nikki Haley is a Democrat plant inside of our party who is trying to destroy the Republican Party from the inside. And Nikki Haley holds the exact same views as all Democrats, right? When it comes to open borders, when it comes to forever war, when it comes to the deep state, when it comes to using identity politics or racialized politics as a victim card. And so Nikki Haley obviously should go down in flames. Now, Nikki Haley may carry through to her home state of South Carolina. We'll see what happens. This may be the last big primary battle for Donald Trump. Virtually every Republican on planet Earth has now sided with Donald Trump and endorsed him, dropped out and endorsed him. We'll be hearing from one of them tonight, Vivek Ramaswamy, who gave just a barn burner of a speech the last time he was on stage with Donald Trump. In fact, this was brought up to us recently that Vivek had the entire room screaming VP, VP, VP the last time that he was on stage with Trump. Go ahead and tune in and have a listen from what we're hearing inside of the Trump orbits. We have a lot of very good sources that this really caught Donald Trump's attention. Again, we will hear from Vivek shortly. This was the last time the two of them were on stage, a bit electric.
Thank you. Wow, how was that? Pretty good, right? That was pretty good, and he's a fantastic guy, and he's really, he's got something that's very special because he started off with a Zippo and he ended up very strong. He did a great job. I was actually surprised.
So Donald Trump being very kind to Vivek, obviously embracing Vivek on stage, and then the number of people chanting VP at Vivek, according to our sources in the Trump campaign, really like changed Donald Trump's opinion of him and caused Donald Trump to sort of rethink his vice presidential selection process. So there are two things at stake here. Obviously, Donald Trump will run in a primary tomorrow against Nikki Haley, the only person that is still in the race. So many people have dropped out. Doug Burgum is another person who had dropped out of the race and spoke at the event tonight earlier, didn't catch his speech. This event's been going on for a little while. Again, we are monitoring the event. We can show you the live shot right now. We won't miss a single beat. Right now, it's just kind of like ads and people, talking from back in the back of the event. But there's been a ton of stuff that has happened today, big time stuff, when it comes to Donald Trump's VP selection. So Donald Trump could be the first person, and most likely, odds are, will be the first person to ever win all 50 states in a contested Republican primary. Donald Trump, you may recall, lost like Iowa in 2016 to Ted Cruz, right, for instance, and so on and so forth. And so this would be the first time in history, Donald Trump already winning with historic margins in Iowa, the Iowa caucuses, but the first time in history that somebody's ever done that. And so what is the next biggest question? When it seems like Donald Trump is, of course, the steamroller that has no brakes, the train, the locomotive that has no brakes, America First and MAGA, as it rolls through the stations and blows through the station. The next question is, who's the lieutenant conductor? Who's the vice president? That's the big question on everybody's mind. The reason why this is particularly important this time around is because, and why we're focusing a little bit on it, and why it's very curious that Vivek Ramaswamy hasn't spoke yet at this event. Again, we're monitoring the live feed. We'll cut right to it when Vivek begins to speak, when Trump begins to speak. Donald Trump's plane has just landed, by the way. Donald Trump's plane just landed. And they get him to the stage very, very quickly. The reason why we are focusing on this is because Donald Trump constitutionally is limited to a single term. So Donald Trump, any man or woman in America who wishes to run for president will only be allowed 2 terms as president constitutionally. And so who Donald Trump selects as vice president will give that individual, that person, a massive inside lane into becoming the next president in the United States. And there is a lot of things that need fixing in this country. And so we have very much focused on this race for vice president. So this becomes the next most important race, right? And what has really been interesting was a little clip that was published this weekend. A lot of people missed it. But it was Glenn Beck, who was one of those guys who was very anti-Trump, and he went against Donald Trump in 2016, actually phone banked and everything for Ted Cruz, helped Ted Cruz win the Iowa caucuses, the past is prologue. Glenn Beck has come to the side of Donald Trump and is now a trusted ally of Donald Trump and an advocate for Donald Trump and his administration. Glenn Beck got a phone call from Donald Trump this weekend, and Trump said, who am I going to pick? Who am I going to pick for VP? And Glenn Beck had a very interesting answer that was followed up by Donald Trump going, that's the only name anyone's told me so far. Who is it?
Last week, Donald Trump called me and he said, any advice on who I should pick for vice president?
Oh, really?
Who do you think? Not that he's probably calling everyone.
But that's great that you're on that list.
And so he said, who do you think? And I said, I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but this is the day, I think it was the day he trashed Vivek. And I said, Vivek. And he said, why do you say that? He said, that's the number one response from everybody I've asked that question. And he said, why do you say that? And I said, A, he can defend you. He's right in your pocket. And while you're defending this, he's watching your back defending this. I said, also, I think some of his ideas are really, really good. Yeah. He connects with the youth, which now the latest of 18 to 24-year-olds that voted for Biden, they're not voting for Biden, but they won't vote for Donald Trump yet. So you get that lower vote, the people that are excited about, hey, something fresh and different. And then in 2028, when you can no longer run, you continue for another 8 years,
Right.
and you get the credit for bringing this new, fresh face in. I said, I just think you become legendary.
And what did he say to that?
Well, we'll see.
Well, we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Who will Donald Trump pick as a vice president? Well, we may see on stage tonight some of the interactions with Donald Trump and some of the people who've been rumored to potentially be in the vice presidential seat. Now, Donald Trump has obviously not named a name per se, but Donald Trump has, of course, floated a few names out there. One of them, early on, was Nikki Haley. Now, Nikki Haley has been having a rough go. Nikki Haley has now been turned on entirely by Donald Trump and the entire MAGA base, obviously, and rightfully so, for the aforementioned reasons. And Nikki Haley just got trolled seconds ago at one of her own events where a man asked if he could marry her, and there was a very interesting response.
But you know what? We've got a lot on the line here. We really do. And you look at what's happening in this election. Yes. Are you going to vote for me? Get out of here.
I'm going to vote for Trump, the guy says. Let's add captions to that clip, by the way, boys, for the morning. I'm going to vote for Trump. First off, you're a married woman. Why are you positing yourself for marriage to another man? This doesn't make any sense, Nikki Haley. There was a bombshell article from the Daily Mail out about Nikki Haley perhaps having some affairs. At least that's what the men say. A couple of consultants signed affidavits about her saying that maybe that's what happened. Oh, yikes. Oh, no. But either way, you're a married woman. So when some guy says, will you marry me? The answer is, I'm married, right? Nikki Haley's answer was, can you vote for me? What? And then the guy says he's voting for Donald Trump. Okay, so Donald Trump's been bashing Nikki Haley. That's the kind of like awkward, really weird, bird brain stuff that we're seeing from Nikki Haley. That just happened seconds ago. And so Donald Trump, in an interview that dropped earlier today, was commenting on why he, of course, doesn't think that Nikki Haley would make a good president or vice president. Now, Donald Trump has effusively said he won't pick Nikki Haley as vice president. He got the message. He got the message. So what else does Donald Trump think about Nikki Haley?
Well, look, she is a globalist. I've always known that about her. And our country cannot be globalist. We don't even have that choice anymore. We owe $35 trillion, and we have to take care of ourselves first. But, you know, I had no wars going on. We defeated ISIS. I defeated ISIS in a matter of months. They said it would take 4 or 5 years. I did it in a few months. And I just took everybody. I was taking everybody out. It was the opposite. I rebuilt the military, but the opposite. And we really had peace through strength in this country. But I got to know everybody, and I got to know Nikki very well. Nikki was not a great negotiator. She had certain things that she was good at, but she wouldn't be good for this job. I can tell you that right now.
So when she points back to you praising her, and now she says that you're using a nickname based on her given name, Nimrata. You called her Nimbra in a post the other day. Why do you do that?
Well, I do that with a lot of people, like Hutchinson. I mean, he was polling at 0 for about 1 year, and I called him, rather than Asa, I called him Ada Hutchinson, and it just felt good to me. And with her, it's just something that came. It's a little bit of a takeoff on her name, you know, her name, wherever she may come from. But it's just.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
It's a little bit of a takeoff. I look at her name. I look at a lot of people. You know, I do a lot of names for people, like Pocahontas. She said, my mother said I look like an Indian, so I started calling her Pocahontas. Some people say I'm very good at that, but I can't get into too many because many of those people that I named like that are Republicans, and we don't want to bring that up. But no, it's just it's a takeoff. I have fun with it, and sometimes, to tell you the truth, it's a very effective tool.
And when she says that you feel threatened, and that's when you do it, you say what?
Well, look, she said I'd never run against him. He's a great president, and I would never run against him. I've just put up a tape. And you know, just so you understand, but she's way behind. You know, you're talking like, oh, gee, we're concerned with her. I'm not concerned with her at all. I think we're going to win very big here. We won extremely big in Iowa.
She's a globalist fool, Donald Trump says of Nikki Haley. And then going in hard on Nikki Haley for being a Democrat puppet, which he has said in an ad now. Donald Trump releasing an ad called The Threat Within about Nikki Haley being a Democrat running as a Republican, funded by Democrats and voted for by Democrats, as we have shown you time and time again, and in poll again. Every poll says that Nikki Haley voters are literally Democrats and that they would prefer Biden over Trump. So how is that possible to help Donald Trump in the general election? I don't think it's possible. Nikki Haley is vice president. They're still going to vote for Biden. So I think that message has gotten to Donald Trump loud and clear. Donald Trump then doing quite a few interesting hits on Nikki Haley, including sending out his son to go and talk about Nikki Haley earlier at the event we will cut to very soon. We have the live shot up again. We'll show you. We're monitoring. We won't miss it, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason we're spending so much time, obviously, on the vice presidential pick is because who knows what Donald Trump will do today. Some people say it's Tim Scott. Tim Scott's at the event. Some people say it might be Vivek. It's Vivek at the event. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe Donald Trump will make his selection tonight. We don't know. We know it won't be Nikki. Here's what Don Jr. had to say.
They love Hillary because it's the same. It's literally, Nikki Haley is Hillary dressed as a conservative for Halloween. She was created in a lab by the neocon warmongers who would love to, like, she's the perfect person for that. So if you want to be in endless wars, if you want someone who can't get a single person that I'm aware of from her own delegation in South Carolina, where she's from, they were all here tonight or over the last couple of days. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? And yet, Democrat mega donors, the Koch network, rhinos in D.C., that's her base. The Democrats are voting for her tomorrow because Joe Biden's not really on the ballot. So they're trying to give her a win to drag it out, to make sure the primary lasts longer. Guys, enough is enough. Let's end this thing now. It starts with you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, honestly. Thank you for all of your efforts. Thank you, honestly, to all of those who were in the race, who stepped aside when it was appropriate, who endorsed, who understand that we are all on one mission to save this country, to put you and the American people, our Constitution, first. Now is the time to do all of that, and I'm just honored to be in the fight with you guys. So thank you so much. Great to be here, New Hampshire. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, guys.
Pretty harsh commentary. Don Jr. is a great surrogate. Don Jr. has certainly the flair and the stylizing of his father. But Don Jr., of course, wouldn't be able to go and nuke Nikki Haley as Hillary Clinton unless, well, the campaign effectively signed off on that. And that's exactly what they're doing. The other person who really has an inside track on potentially becoming the vice president, and this has been previewed by multiple accounts in multiple different news reports, Tucker Carlson. Apparently, he's a big favorite of Melania Trump, and Melania Trump wants Tucker for VP. Now, what did Tucker Carlson have to say about Nikki Haley? Is this the reason that Donald Trump and the entire campaign has now viciously turned against her? Well, I'm not sure, but I can tell you this, that Tucker Carlson has about as big a fan base as any human being alive when it comes to freedom-minded people, and he says that he would actively campaign against Donald Trump if he were to pick Nikki Haley. Whoa!
Would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP? And
would you guys vote for Trump? Well, that's the question that I asked you specifically.
Well, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just poison. I mean, here's someone who's actively opposed to the interests of the country I grew up in, who endorsed the BLM riots, and who is not only is not left, but is neoliberal in the darkest, most, speaking of nihilistic way, and has no real popular support. Is a creature of the oligarchs. So yeah, that would be reason to oppose the ticket.
Even Trump, Haley is a no-go.
Nikki Haley,
he would get assassinated immediately if that were the case.
Yeah, and by the way, I just can't imagine a world where that could happen. That would be so crazy. I mean, anything could happen, of course, but picking Nikki Haley, who's utterly treacherous and utterly dismissive of like the interests of Americans. Yeah.
It's a no-go for.
So, Tucker, boy, treacherous is the way that Tucker Carlson talks about Nikki Haley, a creature of the warmongers and establishment in Washington, D.C., and says that he would actively campaign against Donald Trump if he were to pick Nikki Haley. Man, I mean, I just don't know. You just can't pick Nikki Haley. You just can't. Now, Donald Trump today was asked about his VP pick, and he was asked about the same guy that got us this clip. Now, this is a clip of Donald Trump saying he's already made up his mind. This made major news for us. Trump saying, I already made up my mind, okay?
Who would be in the running for vice president?
Well, I can't tell you that, really. I mean, I know who it's going to be.
Give us a hint.
We'll do another show sometime.
Well, what about any of the people who you've run against? Would you be open to mending fences with any of them?
I will. I've already started to like Christie better.
Christie for vice president?
I don't see it. That would be an upset. Christie for vice president. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce.
I do want to get to this other question before.
The joke about Christie is, and that's how quickly you get forgotten in these races. The joke about Christie was that, well, Chris Christie could have been somebody inside of Trump's orbit, but decided to go hard, decided to take the Mike Pence route, the Judas route, and try and run savaging Donald Trump. Ran the massive, vicious anti-Trump, hate the base movement, and he crashed and burned. And he crashed and burned that day, which was why it was the joke of the night. That clip is about 2 weeks old. And so with Donald Trump today doing an interview with Bret Baier, asked directly about the VP nomination, and Bret Baier was like, okay, you told us you've selected your VP. Who is it? Have a listen to this and listen very carefully.
You said in our town hall that you had an idea, or you might have already decided about your VP pick. When do you think you're going to make that?
Well, it's never really had that much of an effect on an election, which is an amazing thing. Both election and primary, it's never really had much of an effect. I may or may not release something over the next couple of months. There's no rush to that. It won't have any impact at all. The person that I think I like is a very good person, pretty standard. I think people won't be that surprised. But I would say there's probably a 25% chance it would be that person.
Is Senator Tim Scott on the list now?
No, he's a great guy. You know, he endorsed me. There's an example. Nikki comes from South Carolina. Tim Scott is from South Carolina. But if you look, the governor, great governor, another senator, Lindsey, we happen to like Lindsey. But Henry McMaster knows her very well. He endorsed me. It's very hard for a governor to endorse somebody when you have, Henry McMaster was the lieutenant governor under her. And he endorsed me, and he's going to be here tonight. In 15 minutes, you're going to be watching him speak. I'm going to introduce him. He's a great guy. He's done a great job. So almost everybody in South Carolina has endorsed me. What does that tell you?
So Donald Trump saying that in a way that only Trump can. Let's recount what he said. I've picked my VP, and nobody's going to be really surprised. So who would that be? Somebody, I guess, that everyone's already talking about? Vivek? Tucker? I don't know. It's somebody that you won't be surprised. I've already picked him, but they only have a 25% chance of becoming vice president. So what does that mean? I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know. I know we have this preview of Donald Trump's plane. Donald Trump's plane we can play this beside Royce, if that's all right. Donald Trump's plane has landed, of course, in the great New Hampshire. And this is the commentary about the plane. New Hampshire primary will be massive. The liberal tears will be flowing tomorrow night. Can't wait. You can see there the icy runway of New Hampshire. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we also see here Donald Trump pulling up to the arena from Dan Scavino. Let's go ahead and load this as well. We'll show you guys sort of it's fun to see the TikTok, right? It's fun to see the TikTok of the moment. And Donald Trump's obviously Donald Trump's movement, and has been obviously greeted by massive rallies all around New Hampshire. Trump filling stadiums. Can we grab that as well? ALX, just that massive stadium that Donald Trump was in just the other night. I think it was Saturday night. And it was a stadium that like couldn't be filled by an NBA team, right? Like a professional sports league like couldn't pack the amount of people that are showing up to political rallies. Imagine thinking that you're going to beat that. And this is what Ron DeSantis faced, obviously, when Ron DeSantis dropped out and endorsed Donald Trump 24 hours ago. Like imagine thinking that you're going to beat someone who can fill stadiums, like sports arenas. It's just not. It's not going to work, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to work. It's so guaranteed, in fact, that multiple people who aren't big fans of Donald Trump, including like Bill Hemmer at Fox News, are out with reports that Donald Trump's already won the general election. Okay, it must have really pained them to say this, but here we are.
Haley can pull off something miraculous on Tuesday night, John. You really start to get the sense right now that we have entered the general election phase for 2024. The headline of the day, Ron DeSantis is out. Why don't we go ahead and do a quick sample of those who are waiting and hoping to get in as to how they feel about the news. Why don't I reach in here for... You're from Massachusetts, right?
No, from Maine.
Oh, for state of Maine. Gotcha.
Yes.
What do you think about Ron DeSantis' decision today?
I think it was the right thing to do. There's only one person that we need.
Got it. And you?
I'm really happy. I think it shows who's out in front, and that's what we're going with the lead horse.
All right. Let's work on down the line here, John, quickly in the time that we have. Where's the gentleman here? Sir, we were talking a bit earlier. The headline of the night is that Ron DeSantis has folded his campaign and has endorsed Donald Trump. Yeah. What do you think that does for this election?
Every DeSantis voter is going to vote for Trump now. And he was a shoo-in anyway. But DeSantis, I'd love to see him as vice president, and I'd love to see him do 8 years after Trump serves.
How long you been in line?
Couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Balmy, huh?
It's beautiful. I'd stand longer.
You think you'll get in?
We're getting in. We got a ticket.
All right. Good luck to you. Thank you for your time. Yeah, you bet. John, a lot of the issues that we've spoken to the folks out here tonight, energy comes up, inflation comes up a lot. But far and away, the issue of the border and immigration is the number one issue that we've come across. Yeah, come on by. That we have come across so far tonight. So Trump should be out here around 7 o'clock. Back to you, John.
Can't get much farther. Ladies and gentlemen, this is precisely the kind of energy that we have been predicting for quite a long time. That's why we've been covering the TikTok, obviously, of this race. Going live, feeling the energy and seeing it ourselves. I've been inside this arena. In fact, last time I was in this arena was 2016 for a Donald Trump event that looked just like this. I tweeted it. It went viral. Look at this. Look at this. This isn't a live shot of the event that we're going to go to as soon as Donald Trump starts speaking, and we are monitoring that, of course. But this is an event in Concord on Saturday night. And you see Donald Trump coming out of the curtain there. Wait till this thing pans around. Go big here, Royce. Look at this thing. Look at this. It's 2016 all over again. It's 2016 all over again. Look at this energy. Look at the whole floor. Look at the stands. To the rafters. To the window. And the wall. What are you going to do to that? Imagine thinking you could beat this in a primary. You just can't. You just can't, ladies and gentlemen. And everyone, including the people who viscerally hate and loathe Donald Trump, have been coming around to this reality. You have some, let's just say, less than friendly to Trump anchors that have had to effectively do a 180 on Donald Trump. Brett Baer, Bill Hemmer there on Fox. And then there are the people who are, well, activists for the other side. And when I say activists, I mean, I literally mean the mouthpieces of Joe Biden. Jen Psaki, who famously only got a news show as soon as she left the White House on NBC, has come out tonight, and this is the first time, just because we monitor these kind of things, because we hate ourselves, has come out tonight declaring that Donald Trump is the winner of the Republican primary. Again, the vote is tomorrow, but imagine how painful and salty it must be for Jen Psaki to have to say these words.
We're less than 24 hours from the polls closing here in New Hampshire. We're here in New Hampshire doing our show from New Hampshire. And the last remaining challenger to Donald Trump is trying to pull off what would be a surprise win tomorrow in the race for the Republican presidential nomination, or at least to finish close enough to stay in the race, which may actually be the bar. A day away from the vote, Nikki Haley is trying to prevent the New Hampshire primary tomorrow from being essentially the end of that race. Because unless something truly shocking happens tomorrow, and hey, shocking things do happen in politics, Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. And he's going to be the nominee because he has broad support among Republicans in the country, all across the country. He now has broad support even among communities that once seemed least likely to support him.
This is just insanity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my producers are telling me that Donald Trump is taking the stage in New Hampshire. Ladies and gentlemen, not spoken yet. He he's standing for the photos and obviously for the music to stop. But here's our live feed. This is live. We've been playing you clips to sort of fill in the news that has been happening today. There's been a lot of news happening today, including but not limited to something we didn't get to, which is Donald Trump saying that Joe Biden is going to drop out of the race. Here's Trump doing a little dance. Donald Trump on stage. What you are seeing is a live shot, ladies and gentlemen, a live shot from New Hampshire. And again, Donald Trump saying that Joe Biden will drop out and will not be the nominee for president. He said that today. That's the other bit of top line news that I thought was really important. In that Jen Psaki clip, it's wild that Jen Psaki is now admitting defeat. Here we go. Donald Trump.
Well, thank you very much. This is a crowded place. And I just visited some overflow rooms, and you're not in an overflow room, but this is crowded, and outside you got a lot of people, but that's like a poll, right? That's like taking a poll when you get right now. So thank you very much. And hello, New Hampshire. We are really going to rock in New Hampshire, and we're going to have a little fun tonight. And we can give you, this is the last speech. You can think of it. It's a little sad, but we'll be back a lot because we're going to get your energy prices down. You know, we're going to get you energy down by, I would say a solid 50% within 1 year. I promise. Tomorrow is the day that each and every one of you is going to cast the most important vote of your entire life. This is a very, very important vote. When you step into that voting booth, you're going to be signaling that we want crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. We got to get him out. His radical left lunatics, the entire sick political establishment in our nation's capital. We're going to do things, and we're going to do things right. We're going to bring our country back. With your vote, you're going to put Crooked Joe and his protectors on notice that we're coming in November. We're coming to take over the beautiful, beautiful White House, and we're going to run the country the way it's supposed to be run, not the way it's being run. The corrupt Washington swamp has done everything in its power to take away your voice. And Tuesday, I believe that New Hampshire will be I would say the place on earth for that period of time will speak the loudest of any other place. You know, we just got back from a beautiful, beautiful state, Iowa, and the expectations were good, and we exceeded them by a lot. We set records. It was actually a record in the history of the state. That was a record for what we were doing, and everybody was a little bit surprised. They thought we were going to win by a lot, but we won by record stuff. Nobody has done better, and we're going to do that here. I believe we're going to do that here. Now, you do have to do one thing. You have to get the Democrats stop voting in a Republican primary. What's that all about? You know what that is? That's a weak governor. That's a weak governor that would allow that. Democrats are not supposed to be voting in Republican primaries. Do we agree? So anyway, but get out and vote. And, you know, I spent a lot of time in Iowa saying this. We had very big polls, just like we do now. We just got some in, the fantastic polls. But assume you're one down, please, okay? And get out of bed and just get to vote. Grab your neighbor, grab everybody. You gotta go out, because we have to win by big margins. And the reason we have to do that, Al, very simple. You know what the reason is? In November, we have to send the signal that we're not playing games. This country has gone to hell. This country has gone to hell. We have people pouring in our borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nobody knows where they're from. Unvetted, unchecked. It's a terrible thing is happening to our country, and you have to get out in numbers, even if you think we're going to win big, and I think we are, but you're going to have to show it, and we want to have that so that come November, we're going to be in a position where people are not, and we have to stop the cheating. We're going to stop the cheating. You know, the one way you know you win is when you swamp them, not drain the swamp, build up the swamp in this case. Tomorrow, we're going to win New Hampshire, and then we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, and we are going to make America great again. Okay? And thank you. Thank you very much. And if you need information or anything, nh.donaldjtrump.com, right? nh.donaldjtrump.com. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So every day, yeah, thank you very much. That was handled very quickly. By the way, that was handled in record time, I think. Thank you. Good job. Good job back there. Thank you very much. Every day, the Republican Party is becoming more and more unified. Thank you very much. That was a good job. Boy, that was quick. That took about 9 seconds. Thank you. Every day, the Republican Party is becoming more and more unified, and it is. And you see what happened? I mean, we had a very good competitor, Ron, as you know, Ron DeSantis, and he fought hard and he fought well, and now we have one left. We started off with, really, if you add some Democrats into it, we started off with 13, and now we're down to 2 people. And I think one person will be gone probably tomorrow, and the other one will be gone in November. But now is the time for the Republican Party to come together. We have to unify. That's why I'm delighted to be joined today by a number of outstanding leaders, big leaders, powerful leaders, greatly respected leaders. And they're also unbelievable competitors. And we're all on the same team, 100% focused on Biden and beating him in November. So I just want to introduce to you for just a few seconds, a few people that have been incredible on the campaign trail. They've been really good, and they'll have a lot to do with what's happening in the country over the next 4 years, and I'm sure long beyond that. Vivek, please come here. Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy. Here we go.
I love you back. It's good to be back here. We will speak the truth and get this done. We are in the middle of a war in this country. It's not between black and white or even between most Democrats and Republicans. It is between those of us who love this country and a fringe minority who hates the United States of America and what we stand for. Between the permanent state and the everyday citizen. And right now, we need a commander-in-chief who will lead us to victory in this war. That is this man standing right here. If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to defeat the deep state, vote Trump. If you want to fight inflation, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive our national identity in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. That's how we're going to win this in a landslide in November, like Reagan delivered in 1980. That's what we're going to deliver, and Donald Trump is going to deliver this November. Reunite this country. You guys do your part. Come out on Tuesday night. End this primary right here. Off to defeat Joe Biden in November. And our best days as a nation are still yet ahead of us. Vote Trump, and that's how we do this. God bless you and your families and our United States. Vote Trump.
Thank you very much. Vivek, we love him. Dynamo. He's a dynamo. So one of the most respected governors in the country, brilliant guy, made a lot of money, and then he said, let me run for office. We know about that. And he is truly from North Dakota and done really an incredible job. And he's a friend of mine, become a friend of mine, and a really good one. Doug Burgum. Doug.
When I became governor, it was the same night that Donald Trump was elected back in November 16, and the world changed because I've had an opportunity to serve under Joe Biden as president and Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was president, our nation was safe and our nation was prosperous. Joe Biden, his weakness has led to war. His weakness and his appeasement has led to our adversaries like Iran and Russia making hundreds of billions of dollars selling oil to China. Economy, energy, national security, those are all three tied together. There's one candidate in this race that understands how to make our nation more secure, our nation more prosperous. It's the person who did it when he was president before. That's Donald J. Trump. Biden has been a disaster on the economy. He's been a disaster on energy, and he's been a disaster on national security, including the border. Under Donald J. Trump, our cities were safer, our country was safer, and we were absolutely economically better off than we are now. Joe Biden's energy policies are empowering our dictators, and they're hurting our economy. They're raising the prices of what you pay for gas in your car, food on your table, and energy to heat your homes. We need Donald Trump. America needs Donald Trump. And the reason why we do is because he's the individual that knows how to solve these problems. He knows how to keep America safe. He knows how to make us more prosperous. And I want to tell you, I've got an ask for all of you in New Hampshire. I've met a lot of you campaigning around the state, but the ask is this. Tomorrow, you've got to get out and bring your friends. You've got to bring everybody and vote, because the eyes of the world are on New Hampshire tomorrow. They're going to be looking at how you vote. We end this primary tomorrow in New Hampshire with a fantastic win. And guess what? It's not just America. It's every foreign dictator. It's every terrorist group is going to be rethinking their plans when they know we've got a strong and experienced president who will stand up to them and bring America and make America great again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doug. That was good. Hey, they did a very good job, didn't they? You'll be seeing a lot of them. And we have another one. Everybody knows him. And today was a big story, the biggest story out there. He's engaged to be married. We never thought this was going to happen. What's going on? A very, very fine person, a man that we work so closely and I work so closely with. He was in the Senate. He's been there now a long time, and one of the most respected people in all of Washington, Senator Tim Scott, South Carolina.
Oh, God, here we go.
All right, all right, all right.
Oh, no.
If you want 4 more years of Donald Trump, let me hear you scream.
I ain't no ways tired.
If you want the race to be over tomorrow, let me hear you scream. All right. How many of y'all want 4 more years of low inflation under Donald Trump? How many of y'all want 4 more years of low crime and high law and order under Donald J. Trump. How many of y'all want me to stop talking so you can hear from your next president, Donald J. Trump, 4 more years? 4 more years. 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 4 more years.
Thank you, fellas. Great people. They are great people. Thank you very much. That's a great group of people. You'll be seeing a lot of them. Sadly, not everyone is willing to put our country first. Here in New Hampshire, Nikki Haley has made an unholy alliance with rhinos, never Trumpers, Americans for no prosperity. Did you ever hear that? Did you ever hear them? Americans for no prosperity. I added the word no in. Globalists and radical left communists to get liberals and Biden supporters to vote for her in the Republican primary. You got a lot of Democrats voting for her. You have a crazy election. Let's all get out and let's vote for somebody that we want to run against. They want to run against because she's so easy to beat. If you look at the polls, Biden beats her by a lot. We cannot have that. We cannot have gone this far and let that happen. The people behind Nikki Haley are pro-amnesty, pro-China, pro-open borders, pro-war, pro-deep state, and pro-Biden. That's not too good. Rhino is right. Yeah, that's true. Thank you. Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. She just gave me a very good idea, actually. Our movement is pro-borders, pro-jobs, pro-freedom, and it's really something that's very like common sense. 100% pro-America. It's very simple. We are the party of common sense, and that's what we are. You know, we're conservative, we're this, we're who cares? We're the party of, it's all about common sense. It's about strong borders, low taxes, great education, few regulations, and we had it all. We've never had an economy in history, in the history of our country, we never had an economy so good as it was just a few years ago. We never had a better border, a stronger border than we had. The radical left Democrats are supporting Nikki for one simple reason, because they know that she's very easy to beat. And you see that with the polls that just came out tonight. We're beating Biden by so much, probably get indicted 3 or 4 more times by tomorrow. They're going to indict. They're going to keep indicting, and it keeps driving my numbers up. I can't figure that one out. But I believe she's not electable. Nikki Haley wants to charge the working class a 23% national sales tax. Well, and you know that. She wants to raise Social Security retirement age by approximately 10 years. Is that right? That's what, approximately. So you can labor until the day you die and then not collect a penny of the benefits that you really have earned and you've paid for. And if you're lucky enough to live past the retirement age of 75 under Nikki Haley's plan, and she wants to raise it. And remember this about now, she says, I would never do that. But politicians always go back to their first concept, to their first policy, to their first idea. They always do, and they'll go back to it. They'll go back to it as sure as you're standing here. And I'm sorry we got rid of the seats, but they didn't have enough room. And I heard we could have even done better, but the governor made it very difficult to get in. Does that make sense? You're governor. That's what the word is. Now, I don't imagine, because we have these rooms all over the place that are loaded up with people, but I hear they made it a little bit difficult. Nikki wants to gut. Oh, that's right. He's endorsing Nikki. You know, he ran for president. You know that. He just didn't have the courage. He didn't have the courage to announce it. He ran and ran and ran, and he was polling somewhere around Asa Hutchinson, or as I call him, Ada Hutchinson. Remember? Ada Hutchinson. So he was polling right around there. Then he decided not to run, if you looked at the poll numbers, but he never announced, didn't have the courage to announce. He wants to gut Medicare using the Paul Ryan that you talk about, rhino. That's a rhino. And it was a scheme that led to Democrat ads showing Granny being wheeled off the cliff, just being wheeled off the cliff. You remember that ad? That was not a great ad for us. With your vote for our campaign on Tuesday, so important, most important vote you're ever going to take or make.
You can declare that the Republican Party is never going to go back to those days of weak establishment candidates who preach cutting Medicare and Social Security at home while they spend trillions and trillions of dollars on endless wars all over the place in countries that you've never even heard of and countries that don't want us. It's a terrible thing. We're never going back to the days of globalist rhinos who promised border security before the election, but do the bidding of their open borders and donors after the election. And we're never going back to any of the things that you see that are stupid things, very stupid things. They do very, very foolish things, costly and foolish, and so bad for our country. So if you want a losing candidate who puts America last, vote for Nikki Haley. But if you want a president who puts America first every single time, you're going to vote for Donald J. Trump, and you have to get out and vote. And as soon as I lift my hand from that beautiful Bible that we're going to use, a specific Bible, a very beautiful Bible, as your 47th president, and we're all in this together. You've been great from day one. You were so great in 2016. You were so great to me. Remember, we won by 21 points. We came in. They said, who the hell is that guy? And we won by 21 points. But I'll seal the border and we'll shut down the invasion of our country, number one. That's the first thing. And we will almost simultaneously, I would say, let that have one day, right, Al? One day. But we will unleash American energy like I unleashed it before, except this time we're going to keep it going because they turned it off. We will terminate every diversity, equity, and inclusion program across the entire federal government. And I will instruct the heads of ICE and Border Patrol to begin the largest deportation program in American history. We have no choice because this is not sustainable. Our cities are being choked. This is not sustainable. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in the history of our country. We built 561 miles of border wall and got Mexico to give us 28,000 free of charge. You think that was easy? Not easy. 28,000 soldiers we had guarding our border, and we had the best border numbers that we've ever had. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and all Biden had to do is go to the beach and relax, okay? He was there anyway, but he'd go to the beach and say, let's dismantle. We had something called Remain in Mexico. It all worked. It all worked, and it worked well. Under Biden, the USA has been turned into a dumping ground to the world, just a dumping ground. On day one, I will terminate every single open border policy that crooked Joe Biden and his administration have put onto our country. So sad. To stop the deadly drugs that are poisoning our people, I will deploy U.S. Navy to impose a full fentanyl blockade on the waters and the region where they're coming in through certain channels. They're coming overland. They're coming any way they want to come. 12 times more than came in 4 years ago. 12 times more. Drugs are pouring in. And by the way, you have two very bad distinctions. You're the highest energy per capita. You're the highest by far energy anywhere in the country, number one. And also, you're the worst in terms of drugs pouring in. You have more drugs in New Hampshire per capita than any other state by far. Where is your governor? Where is your governor? The drug cartels are waging war in America, and we will destroy the cartels. You have no choice. That's an army. That's an army. They're trying to destroy our country, and they will destroy our country. And I'll use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home countries immediately. Nikki Haley will never secure the border or stop the fentanyl. I know her very well. She worked for me for a long time. People don't realize I put her there because I wanted to make Henry McMaster. It's true. Yeah, you're right. I wanted to make Henry McMaster the governor of South Carolina. We did that, and he has been one of the best governors in the country. Doug will tell you that. But killing thousands and thousands of people. Nikki opposed my border wall. She fought us on the border wall. She got out and she fought us on the border wall. She condemned my strong border policies. And in 2016, she stabbed the Republican Party in the back by siding with Barack Hussein Obama. Have you ever heard of him? Have you ever heard of the gentleman? Against the Trump travel ban, which really kept us safe. You know, when I was there 4 years, I wanted to talk so much. We had no terrorism. We had no attacks. We had nothing. And we had the Trump travel ban. We call it the terror ban, right? We wanted to stop terror from coming into our country, but I couldn't talk about it because I didn't want to do that. And then the following day, something happens. So I went 4 years keeping my mouth shut on that particular subject. But now I talk about it all the time. We had no attacks. We didn't have a World Trade Center. We didn't have the attacks like you've seen, and certainly that you see in other countries. And by the way, now we're getting involved again in the Middle East. Look what's happening. You're getting involved. Here we go again with the Middle East. We spent $9 trillion, killed millions of people, including our side, their side, millions of people. $9 trillion. You know what we got? Nothing. Nothing. You got death. You got blood. You got nothing. And we spent our blood and our treasure, as they say, our blood and our treasure. And our blood is more important than our treasure. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I beat ISIS. You're right. Thank you for telling me that. You're right. I was getting to that, but it's very good. He's sharp, this one. Thank you. We did. We beat the hell out of ISIS. It was supposed to take 4 to 5 years. We got it done in 4 months, I'd say. 4 months. 100% of the ISIS caliphate. Biden and his thugs are desperate to stop us because we are the only ones, and they know that, who can stop them. And that's why they are weaponizing law enforcement and high-level election interference, the likes of which this country has never seen. We've never seen anything like what's happening with using the DOJ and the FBI to go after his political opponent. It's unbelievable. The good news is it's driven my poll numbers up. Someday we're going to have to write a book about this one. But people understand. And, I have a voice. I have a big voice, so I can speak about it. I can talk about it. I can talk about when they want to indict you and arrest you for election integrity. And, they're still fighting on the 2016 election, right? It's okay for them. They're fighting still. They're fighting on the 2016. Same things, except much worse than they accuse our patriots. All we want is an honest election. Because if you don't have honest elections and strong borders, you don't have a country. Joe Biden is truly a threat to democracy for 2 reasons. Number one, we just said part of it, but number 2 is he's incompetent. And that's probably the biggest threat that we have is his incompetence. This is only happening because we're leading big in the polls. If I didn't run, or if I wasn't leading by so much in the polls, but if I didn't run, or if I was in number 4 place where they're not too worried, none of this would be happening. None of this would be happening. In the new Redfield, thank you for saying that. That's very nice. In the new Redfield-Wilton poll, how about these numbers? How about these numbers? In the new Redfield-Wilton poll, it's Trump 72, Haley 9. In Nevada,
protester.
Thank you. Thank you. In Nevada, where we're going next, actually, they think we're going to South Carolina. We're actually going to Nevada first. And we are polling there at roughly 100% because all of the other candidates looked at the polls and they decided we're not going to play in Nevada. So we get 100% of that vote, but nobody wants to talk about that. Then we go to South Carolina, respected pollster Tony Fabrizio, very respected. He has us at 64 to 25. That's not bad. We're running against a governor, having it pretty good. We're leading in New Hampshire by a lot, but we take nothing by a lot. You're going to see it. I don't have to talk about it too much. You're going to see it tomorrow. The numbers, in my opinion, will be higher than what you're even seeing. And you're seeing very big numbers, but you got to go and vote. You got to grab everybody. You got to go and vote. You can't sit back and say, oh, well, let's watch it on television. We need the margins. The margins are very important. We have to get out. We have to vote. We have to show them in November what's going on here because I don't think anybody understands. This is the single biggest political movement in history. It's called Make America Great Again. Joe Biden doesn't know. He says, we have to stop MAGA. But he doesn't know it means Make America Great Again. How do you say we're stopping MAGA? We got to stop it. Make America Great Again, Joe. We're going to stop America first.
We're also dominating crooked Joe Biden in the general election. We're up 8 points today, 8 points in the very, very good Rasmussen poll. And remember, 8 points is a lot because, you know, they have an automatic base of about 39. It's sort of interesting. The Democrats have a base of 39 and Joe is polling at 32. So how the hell do you do that? How do you poll less? But, you know, they do. They have the advantage of, because they have certain groups. I won't go into the groups, but I think some of those groups, like unions, are going to be with us. I believe a lot of them are going to be with us. So he's polling at pretty low numbers, actually. The radical left, Democrats, rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we are not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024, because if they do, we will not have a country left. And, you know, I was thinking about the other day, I don't think I've said this before. I was thinking about this. If they didn't illegally mess with me, you've been watching it all this time, Russia hoax, all hoaxes. But if they didn't illegally mess with me, including spying on my campaign, changing election rules without approval by legislatures, stuffing ballot boxes, and then you had the intelligence agents falsely claiming that the laptop from hell was Russian disinformation. Turned out not to be. It was Hunt. That's another one. That's another one. That's another one. But think of it. I would now be rounding out my term. In other words, if they didn't do all these things, and I could name 10 more or more, I'd now be rounding it out. It would almost be over. But because they did mess with me, now they've got us and me for 4 more years. Think of it. We'll drive them crazy. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I really do. I'm being indicted for you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Never forget, our enemies want to... You're right. That's very interesting. Don't say that too loud. They'll start saying, he wants more. He's a fascist. You know, they love to call me a fascist. He's a fascist. The fascists are the people that will do what they're doing to a political opponent. Those are fascists, by the way. Those are the people that are a danger to the country. But never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom, because I will never let them take away your freedom.
A lot of protesters in this one. I count 3 so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just going home to Mom. Mom will say, darling, where have you been? Oh, I just went to a Trump rally. This isn't really a rally. This is a group of big, big rooms that are packed. But we wanted to get to this slice of your state. This is very important. We could have called. We could have said, you know, let's not go here tonight. My people said, you know, because it was very tough traveling. I said, there's no way I'm not coming here. We're going to get all these beautiful people. They want to silence me, because I will never silence you. Remember this, they will never, they want to silence me so badly. They have worked to do whatever, but I will never let them. Think of this, I will never let them silence you. They want to silence you. They really don't care about me. They want to silence you. In the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I'm just standing in their way. I just happen to be standing in their way. I want to, if I might for a second, we have incredible patriots. We have great people in the party, and you have great people in the other party too, not too many of them. But I want to introduce just a few, if I could. A young star. He's going to get bigger and stronger and better, and you can't get much better than he is right now. Congressman Byron Donalds, a friend of mine, and he's, where is he? He's around here someplace. Byron, if you're there, come up. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. The First Lady of North Dakota, Catherine Burgum. Catherine, if you're there. Oh, look, good. Come on up. Come on now. You want to run for Congress? Want to run for Congress? Come on up, Doug. Belknap County Sheriff Bill Wright. Hi, Marjorie. She's gonna be running for something, I think, Marjorie. We love Marjorie, right? Where is the sheriff? He's around here. He's coming in. Belknap County Commissioner Peter Spanos. A very, very good friend of mine who is very powerful, actually, and he loves this state. I said, would you ever think of moving? I would never leave here. He loves it. Corey Lewandowski. He wouldn't leave. Come on up here, Corey. Corey, would you ever leave New Hampshire? I don't think so. I don't think you could get him out.
We're going to go back to the White House, sir.
A man who's done an unbelievable job in the state, but now it's running this campaign. Steve Stepanek. Steve, come on up. Thank you, Steve. A woman who I'm sure, where is Steve? Where is Steve? Come on up here. Come on up here. A woman who's, I think, a natural-born talent, a natural-born politician, somebody that's done really well. Unfortunately, in the last election, none of the machines worked. The machines weren't working, Corey. The Republicans went up to vote, and none of the machines were working. This was not good. But, of course, they said, well, this was just the way it goes. You know, thousands of people were not allowed to vote. But she's a great person, and she's going to be a U.S. Senator very soon, Carrie Lake. Carrie. And my son, Don, did he do a good job today? Did he do a good job? Well, I want to just thank you. Hey, where's Steve? Steve, would you say a couple of words, please? Because you have been so great. This man works so hard. And I think we'll know by tomorrow evening, but I think it's going to pay off, Steve, because I'm hearing record type numbers. Please say a few words. Thank you.
What are we going to do tomorrow? And who are we going to vote for? You better believe it. And we're going to, every single one of you, your parents, your friends, your co-workers, I want every single one of them at the polls in record numbers voting for Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Those are great people. I was also honored. She's back. She's back. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's beautiful. I was also honored. This is very important because I was also, she's going home now. Where have you been, darling? You know, we don't have that like we used to. We used to have it all the time. That's a good sign, I think. I was also honored to be endorsed today by the United States Federation of Police Officers, the largest law enforcement union in New England. And I want to ask Jerry Flynn, please, if you would. Come up, Jerry. Could you come up? Jerry's been great, and Tom Daly is here someplace. Tom is a powerful man.
I'll be real quick, but in 2008 to 2016, there was what was created by Barack Obama and Joe Biden called the war on cops. It was the worst time for a professional police officer in the history of law enforcement. 2016, Donald J. Trump became the law enforcement president, and we had 4 great years with him, and we need those 4 years back. We were happy to be the first law enforcement agency to endorse him in 2015, and we're proud. The United Federation of Police Officers and the New England Police Benevolent Association is proud to stand with the law and order president, Donald J. Trump.
That's what a group of great people, and we are respecting our police, our law enforcement people. They keep us safe, and they've done a great job. They've been told not to, in many cases, do a great job, but they're going to start doing. We're going to give them indemnification, so they don't have problems when they get a little bit tougher than some people would think is necessary. It's got to be necessary. You got to stop crime in these cities, these Democrat-run cities. It's just horrible what's happening. Today, we're also very grateful to be endorsed by one of the nation's largest Catholic advocacy groups, Catholic Vote. It's called Catholic Vote. And I just want to thank them. They are incredible. Now, I don't know what it is with Catholics, but the FBI is going after Catholics. Why would any Catholic vote for a Democrat? You too? Anybody, any Catholic being harassed? No, why would a Catholic, think of it, what they're doing? I hear stories that are just horrible. Why would a Catholic be voting for Biden or a Democrat? Doesn't make sense. It's horrible. What they're doing is horrible. From the very first day that we take back the White House, Crooked Joe Biden and his radical band of lunatics, I believe we're going to have our 4 greatest years in the history of our country. I believe that. And I don't know if you noticed when we won Iowa last week by record numbers. Did you see there was a little accident that happened in Asia? China crashed. Did you see that? Their stock market crashed when we won. Well, now we want everybody to do well. We want them to do well too. But it's sort of an interesting thing. Now the Democrats would say that was just a coincidence, right? But no, their market crashed when they came out with those record numbers, and that market went down trillions of dollars. The next Trump economic boom will begin on November 5th, 2024. It's going to be a boom like no other. And you know, the stock market is going good. You know why because the economy is horrible, except for the stock market, because everyone thinks we're going to get elected, and that's why they're doing it. These are very smart investors. If they see a bad poll, you're going to see some bad numbers. Or if you see a bad result tomorrow, you're going to see some very bad numbers. But they're running on the fumes of what we did in every way, including oil. We produced things that nobody ever thought possible. But the day after the election, they're going to turn it all off. You watch. But the stock market's running on fumes, and the stock market, literally every single time you see good polls coming out from that, stock market goes crazy. So I want to just congratulate all of you investors, but you better hope I win, because otherwise you're going to be in 1929 territory, in my opinion. And we're going to bring America together through success. You know, we're going to bring the country together through success. Success is going to be the way it happens. That was happening until COVID came in, a couple of years, 2.5 years. We had the greatest, and even after, I mean, you look at the numbers, we had the greatest numbers in history for those 4 years. But until COVID came in, nobody's ever seen anything like it. Better than any country at any time, ever. And I'll tell you, people were coming up to me, the people that you would least suspect, and they were coming up and they wanted to talk turkey. People that we weren't talking to too much, because everybody was doing better. Every single group, rich people, poor people, but especially poor people, actually proportionally worked the best for poor people. But people with diplomas from the best colleges and schools, and people with no diploma, women, everybody, Asian Americans were doing unbelievable. Hispanic Americans were doing unbelievable. African Americans were doing, everybody was doing, and people were talking, and it was success. And when they ask me, can we ever bring our country together? I say, yes, we can, with success. We get that success back, and we're going to be bringing our country together like you wouldn't believe it actually could. Even me, I was so surprised. I was getting calls from people that you would not suspect would be calling. And everybody got a piece of that action, and it was a beautiful thing to see. We had gas prices at $1.87 a gallon with no inflation. We didn't have inflation wiping you out. Inflation is called a country buster. It busts countries. It breaks up countries. Together, we ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with a brand new USMCA. That's Mexico and Canada, the best single trade deal ever made in our country. And we know it's good because Mexico and Canada are trying to renegotiate the deal. And they shouldn't be doing that, Joe. You shouldn't do it, because we had to suffer with NAFTA for years. I took on communist China like no administration in history, bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars, pouring right into our treasury.
when no other president had gotten even literally 10 cents out of China. Nobody even tried. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars. I gave $28 billion directly to the farmers. And in your case, we gave it also to the New England lobstermen and fishermen. Any fishermen here? You know, Biden wants to put a license fee on fishermen. Can you imagine? I hear it's $700 a day. And I know nothing about fishing and costs, but I know that $700 a day, that's a lot of fish. They want to put on a $700 fee. They're going to do that. When Joe Biden, I'll get rid of it my first day, okay? I'll get rid of it. When Joe Biden took office, he immediately canceled the Keystone XL pipeline that I had approved. I proved it. It was all being built. Waged war on American energy and launched the Green New Scam. It's the Green New Deal. We call it the Green New Scam because it is a scam, triggering runaway. Did you see Kerry left? Kerry goes over to China to lecture them about the environment. They take his meeting, they have lunch, he goes, and then they laugh at him as he's walking out. They don't do anything. And their dust blows right over the, you know, with the winds, just happens that way. It blows right over the middle of our country and actually up the West Coast. Their garbage comes right along, goes right down the Pacific, right alongside of Los Angeles. We end up picking up their garbage. How stupid are we? But it's triggering runaway inflation and sending the cost of energy right through the roof. And again, remember I said this, you have the highest cost of energy of any state in the union. We're going to cut your costs within 1 year down to half. And I have a friend over here who's going to keep me to that because there's no reason that New Hampshire should be paying the highest. You're higher than anybody else, including in New England. You're higher than any other state. If we don't win this election, Biden will stop all the drilling and all the things that we got started, and prices will go up like you won't believe. It's going to happen if they win, and we can't let them win. And the only way they're going to win, in my opinion, is if they cheat, because I don't believe there's any way. You look at these crowds where they're filling up every room, and all over the building we have people. And then outside we have hundreds of people. They can't get in. This was supposed to be just a little quick stop. It's like crazy. Already Biden is blocking approval for new facilities to export American natural gas. He's blocking that. He doesn't want them to build it. At a time when we're sitting on trillions of dollars of wealth, I call it liquid gold, right? That could help us pay off the debt. You know, we have $35 trillion in debt. Reduce taxes further. I gave you the biggest tax. We got the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan tax cut. And protect the security of ourselves and our allies. Biden wants to turn off the spigot. He just doesn't want it to happen. I don't know if it's him. I'm not sure he has any idea what the hell's going on. The guy can't put two sentences together. And, you know, I never spoke to him about him like this. I speak to him. It's very derogatory what I say, because you know what he did? He indicted me. I mean, I've been indicted. I've been indicted more than Al Capone. See that guy, how tough he is? Look at him with a big red hat on. He's a tough guy. If Al Capone ever took you out to dinner and he didn't like your smile, he would kill you before morning, okay? And he got indicted less than me. That's not right. No, these people are crazy. These people are crazy. It's weaponization. It's going after your political opponent. Nobody's ever done this before in the history of our country. They do it in third world nations, but they don't do it here. And I have a feeling maybe it's going to be the last time, because people are going to see it at the polls. The people are, it's amazing. I appreciate it so much, because normally what you do is you just put your head down. I guess you have to get the hell out. And every week we go up and up and up. And somebody said, don't indict him anymore. Please, you're killing us. You're going to indict him right into the White House. We don't want to have that. No, it's terrible. I mean, we get treated terribly. It's unbelievable. And, you know, that's a two-way street. That can happen to them also. It's a very dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous precedent that they are setting. On day one, I will end Crooked Joe's insane electric vehicle mandate, which has caused the prices of cars to skyrocket. And, you know, electric vehicles, they don't work so well in the cold, so the people of New Hampshire are not exactly thrilled. You know, they don't work very well in the cold. You ever see all these cars like they're abandoned? They look fine. They look nice. Why are they not? It gets to a certain temperature. They're not exactly, you don't want to be there. While Biden is pushing the largest tax hike in American history, I will make the Trump tax cuts, again, the biggest ever in history. We're going to make them permanent. They come due in a year.
And I will once again cut a record number of job-killing regulations. We number one in regulations in history. We cut more regulations than any president in history. That's why we had such a good economy. And you know, it was interesting. I was with business leaders, and I asked the whole group, about 20 of them, big companies, and I said, which was more important, the tax cuts or the regulation cuts? Every single one of them said the regulation cuts were more important. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, we win. We're going to win it together. I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. We'll get it settled. Would have never happened. And when I was commander-in-chief, Iran was a weak, broke, and it was ready to make a deal. They were weak, they were broke, and ready to make a deal. Then Biden came in and surrendered everything, all of the things I did. You know, I told China, if you buy any oil from Iran, I told this to every country, practically every country, they're not selling oil. And now, under Biden, Iran is rich, powerful, and an instrument of terror that is spreading bloodshed all over the Middle East. You see what's happening. They had no money with me. Now they have $200 billion, and they control Iraq. Another great move going into Iraq. What a stupid move that was. Under my leadership, we will restore peace through strength. That's all you need, peace through strength. We rebuilt the entire military. Of course, we gave about $85 billion to, can you imagine? $85 billion they gave to Afghanistan. And Afghanistan now, the Taliban, Afghanistan is just about one of the leading sellers of military equipment in the world. They don't need 700,000 rifles. They need 50,000 rifles, 20,000 rifles. We gave them 70,000 vehicles, some of them, many of them armor-plated, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars each. But I am the only candidate who can make this promise to you. I will prevent World War III. I will prevent it. You're going to have World War III. The way it's going now, you are going to have World War III. And we're going to prevent it. I know all the players. You know, I was honored because a very, very tough man, Viktor Orban. Have you ever heard of him? He's the Prime Minister of Hungary. Right, good. Prime Minister of Hungary. And he's a tough man, strong man, very respected, knows everything there is to know about Ukraine. In fact, he's taken in tremendous numbers of Ukrainians, but he's I happen to think he's a good man. The press goes crazy when I say it. But they asked him, what's the problem? The world is blowing up. What's the problem? What can we do about it? He said, the best single thing that you can do about it is get Trump to be the president of the United States again. When we had Trump, there were no problems. He used a word I don't like using because I can't say it myself. He said, China feared him. Russia feared him. Everybody feared him, and we had no problems. And it's absolutely true. We had no problems. And now you look, everything's blowing up. It's war. Israel would have never been attacked. Ukraine would have never been attacked. China wouldn't be talking about going into Taiwan. I mean, they want to do it so badly. They're trying to get it done because they have a weak man as president. And we can't have a weak president. We have a weak man who cheats like hell. That's the only thing they're good at. They cheat at elections like nobody's ever cheated before. Maybe third world countries, but not, I don't think a lot more. But we're not going to let them cheat in 2024. Everybody's watching, and it's going to be very hard. They're going to try. They're going to try because that's their natural instinct. And I will build an iron dome over our country, a state-of-the-art missile defense shield made in the USA. We do it for other countries. We help other countries. We don't do it for ourselves. We need it too. You know, Reagan proposed that many years ago, Star Wars. He proposed it many, many years ago, but at that time there was no technology. It was just like it looked good. But we have unbelievable technology. We shoot them down. I've seen so many things. I've seen shots that you wouldn't even believe. Missile launched. They go, missile launched. And you hear a bell go. I mean, I see this. It's so incredible. And these guys, these geniuses, they go, these are not muscle guys here. They're muscle guys up here, right? And they calmly walk to a seat. Ding, 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 ding. They've only got 17 seconds to figure this whole thing out, right? Boom. Okay. Missile launch. Pshing, boom. It's the most and we don't have it here, but we help other countries in having it. No, we're going to have the greatest Iron Dome. Let's call it Iron Dome. Anywhere in the world. And it's going to be manufactured, a lot of it right here in New Hampshire, actually, come to think of it. I will also defend our great veterans, and Al will tell you, nobody has ever defended, and he's tough because, you know, I got to be careful with him. I might say it, and he said, I disagree with you. But nobody has ever defended the veterans like I've defended the veterans. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we'll be asking Congress immediately to build a full-service VA hospital in New Hampshire that the veterans deserve. We're going to be pushing that. You know, you're the only state in the union that doesn't have a full-service VA hospital. Do you know that, Al? So I don't know. Again, your governor. That's number 3 on your governor. I think you got to get this guy out of here. Right. We're going to get it built, Al. We're going to get it built. He'll be after me to get it built. He doesn't stop. I can tell you that. And he's a good man too. I'll direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out of control prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. And I'm also going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officers throughout the whole United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong actions on crime. You know, they're not allowed to do anything. They took away their power, and then they get sued. They say you have to hire your own lawyer. You believe that one? They have to hire, some cases. Hire your own lawyer. That doesn't work out too well. We're going to give them indemnification so they can take care of the crime situation. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope and safety and beauty, and better than ever before. Our cities are going to hell. Our great, beautiful cities are crime-ridden, horrible places. And we're going to change that. We're going to be strong, so strong on crime, and we're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to fix up the roads and the avenues. We're going to rebuild our cities better than they've ever been before, and we are going to be very tough on crime. We'll take over the horribly run capital of our nation, Washington, D.C. It's a mess, and clean up and renovate and rebuild our capital city so that it's no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it'll become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. We have a capital where people come in, foreign dignitaries come in, and they're riding over garbage, and the roads are bad, and the median is bad in between roads. You know, the median that's always falling over, the metal crap that somebody got a lot of money for that stuff. You put it up 2 days later, it's all busted up. But this is stuff that's old, broken. The roads are broken. And you're riding over garbage, and you're riding over just absolute garbage, beer cans that have been there a long time. I know how long, you know, you can tell very easily. And these are people coming into this capital, the capital of our country. And you look at the parks, they're riddled with tents. Homeless are living there. We have to take care of our homeless, but you can't let them do that. You know, when I was president, if I saw 2 tents forming, I'd say you have to get them out fast right away, because once you have 2, you have 3, you have 4, they build up so fast. On day 1, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our schools. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And something that I can't believe, but I have to say it because this is where they seem to want to go, the radical left. I will keep men out of women's sports, okay? Do you believe it? And as I did better than anybody else, and it's not easy, I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. We will fully uphold. And this I do for Vivek, because he's very big into it. I happen to agree with him, but he said, could you mention this? I will never. He said, I love Vivek. I love him too now. I didn't love him when he was running, but I like him now. It's amazing the way you can like somebody when you win, right? But Vivek is great. He's really great. But he wanted this, and I'll give him full credit for it. It's very important, actually. I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. And we will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections, and our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots and a thing called voter ID. Voter ID. But until then, Republicans must win. We have to win. If you took the worst 10 presidents, let's say the worst. I used to say 5, remember? A few months ago. Then I said 5. If you took the worst 10 presidents in the history of our country, think of it, the worst 10, and you added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to the U.S., to the United States that we love so much, as Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. Look at what they've done. Look at the Afghanistan embarrassment, the worst ever in the history, the most embarrassing moment, I believe, in the history of our country. But look at the border. Look at the border. The border is like a sieve. It's an open wound. What we're allowing to come into our country, they're coming from all over the world. It's not just from the 4 countries that we know and love and we've dealt with pretty unsuccessfully. They're coming from all over. They're coming from Africa. Last night, 2 nights ago, they had 20 people from the Congo, and they were, where do you come from? They come from prisons, because prisons are being emptied out all over the world, and they're coming into not just in South America, that would be bad, but they're being emptied out from all over the world. In Asia, they're coming from Asia. How about China? 28,000 Chinese, and they're between the ages of 18 and 25. Those are fighting ages, right? Those are fighting ages. What's that all about? They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from Yemen. We're bombing Yemen, and we have their people coming here, but they're all men, very few women. I hate to say that, but they're very few women, and they're of fighting age, 18 to 25. That's called prime time, and they're coming from all over the world, and we're like a dumping ground for the rest of the world. We're stupid people. We're being run by stupid people, or people that hate our country. I'm not sure which. Nobody can figure it out, because who would want to run? Who would want to run on a policy of open borders where anybody can come in? They're emptying jails out. We took out thousands and thousands of gang members, MS-13. They say they're the toughest gangs in the world. I think they're probably not, compared to some of the gangs that are coming in now from parts unknown, right? But we took out thousands and thousands. They're now being let out of jails, and they're coming into our country. Many of them have already come in. And if the fake news would go and investigate the jails throughout, let's say, South America and even the rest of the world, you'll find that they're getting low, because they're letting their bad prisoners come into the United States of America. And that's really bad for us, and it's really unsafe. And I was talking to Sean Hannity today. He said, I give it 100% chance, 100%, that we're going to have a bad attack. What do you think? Do you think I'm right? I said, you're 100% right. He gives it 100% chance. And I said, you're low. Let's give it a little bit more than that if we can, right? If you could, I would. So if you want to save America, then tomorrow, and you have to do this, we're now at tomorrow. Look at this. The season has started. We had this tremendous success in Iowa. And now we have, and by the way, I kept you first in the nation for primaries, right? I kept you first. I promised I would. That was up to me. Had nothing to do with your governor, I can tell you that. He's too lazy. He's too lazy to do that. But tomorrow, Tuesday, January 23rd, you have to do this. You have to go out and you have to vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. We're going to turn this country around so fast. It's going to be a beautiful thing to behold. So in conclusion, and I think this is so powerful and so important, we're going to be taking on some of the most menacing forces and some of the most vicious people and opponents that we've ever seen before. But no matter how hateful and corrupt the communists and criminals are that we're fighting against, constantly fighting against, terrible, terrible people, they're from the inside, not on the outside. You must never forget that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage, and our American liberty is your God-given right. And I say this, and I love this, and I know your state so well, and I have so many friends that live here, from Meredith to Manchester, from Plymouth to Portsmouth, and from Londonderry to Laconia. You inherit the legacy of red-blooded New Hampshire patriots. You're really patriots, incredible patriots, who lived by that very, very simple, but actually quite complex statement: live free or die. Live free or die. We stand on the shoulders of American heroes who crossed the ocean, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, won 2 world wars. defeated fascism and communism, and made America the single greatest nation in the history of the world.
Where we go, what we go
We will. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in 50 years, where banks are collapsing and interest rates are skyrocketing. Likewise, we are a nation where energy costs have reached the highest levels in our history. We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant as we were just a few short years.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a render in the feed. Hold tight, please. Confirming with our technicians and producers. Hold tight, please. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we will effort very quickly a refresh on that feed. And it seems like hold. We will grab the feed from Right Side Broadcasting, boys.
Or elsewhere on our lands. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal, yet everyone knows that the Green New scam is fake and it will lead to our destruction. We are a nation whose leaders are demanding all electric cars, despite the fact that they don't go far, cost too much, and whose batteries are produced in China with materials only available in China, when an unlimited amount of gasoline is available inexpensively in the United States, but not available in China. And now we are a nation that wants to make our revered and very powerful army tanks the best in the world, all electric, so that despite the fact that they are also not able to go far, fewer pollutants will be released into the air as we blast our way through enemy territory in an environmentally friendly way. And they also want to make our jet fighters with a green stamp of energy approval, though losing 15% efficiency, but allowing us to keep our enemy's atmosphere clean of emissions as we viciously and unceremoniously attack them at levels never seen before. Who are these people that would do this to us? Who are these people who would ruin our country? We are a nation that has ended oil exploration and production in the United States, just as the price of oil reached an all-time high. What other country would do such a thing? How foolish are we? How stupid are our leaders? We can be energy independent and even energy dominant. Yes, oh yes, and quickly, says President Trump. We will be there very quickly. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment. Anywhere in the world, we left it behind. And also abandoning Bagram, this is one of the biggest, most important military bases anywhere in the world, and only 1 hour away from China, and where China makes its nuclear weapons. We left Bagram, the best in the world, the biggest. We left it to China. And who is occupying it now? China is occupying it now. And we are a nation that allowed Russia and Ukraine to fight, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your president, and for 4 straight years, it didn't happen. Likewise, the horrifying attack on Israel would never have happened. They wouldn't even have thought of doing such a thing if President Trump was in the Oval Office. You know it, and everyone else knows it. Iran was broke under the Trump administration. They didn't have the money to fund Hamas, or Hezbollah, and all other instruments of terror. They gave them so much money. But those sanctions that I put on were lifted by a corrupt Biden administration, and now Iran is a rich country with $200 billion and another $6 billion for hostages that they just got, and $10 billion for electricity that they sent to Iraq, all compliments of an incompetent Biden administration. And China with Taiwan is next. We are a nation that allows radical left terrorists to violently attack our cities, leaving behind massive destruction and death. And nothing happens to the criminals that do these horrible things. There is no punishment. But when people who love our country protest on January 6th in Washington, they become hostages, unfairly imprisoned for long periods of time. We are a third world nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've got a federal Bureau of Investigation that won't allow bad election-changing facts to be presented to the public, and which offers $1 million to a writer of fiction about Donald Trump to lie and say it was fact, where Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation, and the FBI knew it wasn't, but 51 intelligence agents said it was. And a Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and fraud. And we have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired and in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia, China, in possible nuclear war, and he has no idea what he's doing. We could lead to World War III, and far more devastating than any war. This will be a war like no other, because the weaponry is so powerful, powerful beyond description, powerful beyond words. We are a nation that no longer has a free press. Fake news is all you get, and they are indeed the enemy of the people. They refuse to discuss the Biden crime family, but enjoy covering the false indictments of Donald J. Trump, who has done nothing wrong except win an election that he wasn't expected to win. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, and where crime is rampant and out of control like never before. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon, and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to rival our own. And less than 3 years ago, we had Iran and China, and Russia, and North Korea in check. They respected us. They were afraid of us. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. Now Russia and China are holding summits to carve up the world. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer admired, respected, or listened to on the world stage. We're not respected any longer. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, faith, and even to God. We are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain is broken, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the very bottom of every single list. We are a nation that just sold a once great company, United States Steel, to Japan. We're a nation whose stock market's continued success is contingent upon MAGA winning the next election. It is contingent on MAGA winning the next election. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go into stores and openly rob them, beat up and kill their workers and customers, and leave with armloads of goods, but with no retribution, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where fentanyl and other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than groceries to feed our beautiful families.
We have become a drug-infested, crime-ridden nation, which is incapable of solving even the smallest problem. The simplest of problems we can no longer solve. We can't do anything. We are an institute and a powerful death penalty. We will put this on. We have to bring in the death penalty if we want to stop the infestation of drugs coming into our country. The only countries that don't have a drug problem are those with the death penalty. A terrible thing to say. Each dealer is responsible for the death during their lives of 500 people or more. We must institute the death penalty. It's actually an act of kindness. Mothers will never again be forced to watch their children overdosing and hopelessly dying in their arms, screaming, "What can I do? What can I do? My child is dying." We're a nation whose once revered airports are a dirty, crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave. They have no idea when they will. Where ticket prices have tripled, they don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't seek qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing. We're a nation that screens its citizens viciously at all ports. But if you're an illegal alien, you're allowed to flow through our country with no check whatsoever. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, lost its willpower, and lost its strength. We are a nation that has quite simply lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it's hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers, get them out of our government. We have to get them out of our government. We will get rid of the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will drain the swamp. We will liberate our country from these tyrants and villains once and for all. They are destroying our country. Like those patriots before us, we will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never, ever back down. With your support, we will go on to victories, the likes of which no one has ever seen before. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back our country on Election Day 2024. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. We are one movement, the greatest movement in the history of our country. One people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New Hampshire. God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you. Go out and vote. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump with a barn burner of a rally. Just an unbelievable tour de force through New Hampshire. Bringing on, of course, Vivek and Tim Scott and Doug Burgum, who are all people who ran against him for president. Bringing on other members of the New Hampshire political Republican kingmakers, right? And showing then extreme force of will as multiple protesters interrupted him Donald Trump saying, "Go home," of course, to mommy. We also have footage of some of those protesters being pulled away. They're all wearing face diapers. All of them are wearing masks, which is so embarrassing. The year is 2024. Something that's not embarrassing is one of the members of the police union who was brought on to endorse Donald Trump. Donald Trump has always had a long history stretching way back to his 2016 run of getting law enforcement endorsements. This is because of Donald Trump's actions during September 11th and also his strong actions to protect and defend law enforcement and the working man here in this country. And it just so happens that our executive producer, the great ALX, was coached by this man in his baseball, in his, I think, illustrious baseball career, and the great ALX joins the program now. ALX baseball update. Okay.
Yeah.
Never had one of these. The sport. Okay. So the man, what's his name? And he's your coach?
Yeah. So his name is Tom Daly. So he serves as, I think it's the VP of the fraternal police organization for New England. So he's from Massachusetts, where I live. But he's very affiliated with, since it's New England, and it encompasses New Hampshire as well. So yeah, he was my high school baseball coach. I played almost every single position except for catcher, but I was like mainly a pitcher. And yeah, he was a legend. He's always been based, and I've known this because like when I started posting like pictures of like me and Trump and stuff in 2016, and like I'm friends with him on Facebook, so like he would like my stuff and all of that. And yeah, he's always been a legend, and he follows me on X as well, so I see him like some of my stuff sometimes, so I'm sure he'll appreciate that I just posted the clip of him.
And you should follow ALX on X. 700,000 patriots, of course, cannot be wrong. ALX, if you were to get a new follower tonight, what would they hear about your thoughts on the vice presidency position? Obviously something that is incredibly important selection for Donald Trump. What is the latest news?
I think all signs are pointing towards Vivek. There's been some, whispers of, I'm hearing Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I'm hearing Lee Zeldin now. That's like a supposed insider take on it, which could track, because I do remember that Trump said that he's looking to expand the electoral map and even go as far into it as going into New York, which raised a lot of eyebrows. Which we all know that Lee Zeldin led that, flipped a bunch of seats in New York, so that could be part of that. But I think, like, for example, today with the rally, the only person that didn't speak before Trump came on stage was Vivek, and of course, he was the first one he brought on the stage. I don't know if that's because he might have been traveling with Trump on his plane or something, but I do find that curious that he was the only one not to speak before Trump, and then Trump brought him up first.
That's it.
And yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
That's actually a very astute observation. Don Jr., Tim Scott, Doug Burgum, all these guys ended up speaking before Donald Trump. Carrie Lake, we love Carrie, but they were speaking, some of them an hour or more before Donald Trump took the stage. And Vivek is the only person that got integrated into the speech, and Donald Trump called him a dynamo. What is that? Is that common vernacular? You catch almost every Trump speech. You're pretty much a linguist at this point, an expert on Donald Trump. Dynamo, when does he use that terminology?
I haven't heard that from Trump, actually, but I love his, like, his ancient terminology at times. How he says that, it's the funniest thing. So I haven't heard that before, so I don't know, that could be indicative of how he feels about him. But I just feel like the energy is around that right now. The whole Vivek, it seems like they have like a lot of chemistry. I mean, Tim Scott has a lot of energy as well, but I feel like there's more of a chemistry between Vivek and Trump at the moment.
He's beloved as much by the base, as dare I say Tucker. Maybe I'm wrong there, but a lot of people in the comment section, at least, really want Tucker, and a lot of people really want Vivek. And a lot of people see them both as fighting on our side, and I think that's a good thing. Many people very nervous or dodgy about Tim Scott. Certainly not the same response. Certainly not as beloved by the electorate and by the base. And of course, Nikki Haley was floated just a couple of weeks ago, but I think that that bird has flown the coop. Yeah. No?
Yeah. I know a lot of people will take Trump saying, yeah, she's not going to be my VP as, or like him hitting her. But like, if you notice, like he had said that about like, say, you know, a DeSantis or a bunch of other people. And I think he would reconsider, you know, DeSantis at this point, even. I feel like it won't be. But what I will say is that I've heard Don Jr. publicly state that he's pushing like very hard against a Nikki Haley VP. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people that are close to Trump are pushing against that. And it doesn't seem like it would be likely. I don't think he would want to pick her or DeSantis because I feel like his base is so decided against both of them. So he wouldn't want to do something to, you know, upset his base that much. But I don't think it will be here.
So Carolyn Leavitt made a little bit of news on Fox. She is the brand new Trump press secretary, ran for office not too far from where you live. I want to play this clip, get your reaction to it, and then your prediction for tomorrow.
Where is the president when it comes to picking the VP?
Well, as the president said yesterday, he has about 25% towards one person. That's not a lot, Jesse, okay?
25%.
We are very much focused on winning the New Hampshire primary tomorrow and then focusing our attention to taking the fight to Joe Biden. Hopefully, if Nikki Haley decides to realize she has no pathway to the nomination in this race and will drop out. I don't know, genuinely.
So you don't
know. The president even knows. I think he's still thinking about it. Genuinely looking over all of the candidates. I will say this.
Yes.
He did tell Fox News' very own Brett Baier yesterday that the most important quality for him is someone who he knows will make a great president after he's out of office. I think that's very important.
Okay, that's interesting. We're having Carrie Lake on later in the show. Are you saying she is in the running?
I am saying everyone's in the running.
Everyone is in the running. I'm in the running.
You could be.
I can't take the pay cut. I heard a secret name. Kellyanne Conway just brought it to our attention. Marco Rubio for VP. Now, I hadn't even seen his name on a list anywhere, but then when I thought about it, I thought, that's interesting.
Well, I will say this. The Republican Party has a very deep bench. Marco Rubio endorsed the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, as well as Senator Rick Scott before Ron DeSantis even dropped out of this race, showing the power President Trump has from the great state of Florida. And tonight, here in New Hampshire, President Trump will be joined by Vivek Ramaswamy, Governor Doug Burgum, Senator Tim Scott, all members of Team Trump. So we'll have to see.
Are you hearing what we're hearing, that Tim Scott got engaged because he thought he might be tapped for VP? Is that true?
I think Tim Scott got engaged because he's a great man.
All right. He's in love. It's true love, everybody. Caroline, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay. A lot of people picking up on that whole Tim Scott got married. We never thought it was going to happen. So, okay. Hey, Alex, it sounds like there's something very interesting that I picked up on that. It sounds like Carolyn Leavitt might be following you on X. I think she probably does, actually. And as soon as Marco Rubio's name was brought up, she goes, well, you know, Vivek Ramaswamy's going to be at the event tonight.
I was going to say, notice in the list of those names, she led with Vivek's name. That's very curious as well. And that's the first one that she, you know, brought up. Fox brought up all the other ones. She floated those names herself. But yeah, I hadn't heard the Marco Rubio thing. And then, you know, for her to say that, like, what he's looking for in a VP is someone to carry the mantle of MAGA, that I think that floats more with a Vivek because he's younger. I feel like, you know, he'd like to learn from Trump. And that's even what he said in this campaign, is that, you know, he learned a lot from like watching Trump, and it inspired his run. And he basically ran this campaign as a continuation of the Trump administration. And that's what he said on the campaign trail. So I feel like he would be very receptive to that. And that tracks more than, you know, a Tim Scott or, you know, Doug Burgum, I don't think is in the running at all. But those names that she listed, I feel like he would be more of a future pick than than a Tim Scott.
The interesting part about this job is that ALX gets to interface with everyone, gets to hang out with everyone, and gets to, chat online and offline, and picks up a lot of tidbits here and there. And so we'll never hold our cards close to our chest. We'll tell, like, unlike other shows, we'll literally tell you kind of like what we know, right? So here's, I think, what we know. And then a final question for you, ALX. We know that Tucker Carlson is in contention to be VP. We know that. Like, that's been told to us offline and online by Tucker. We know that Vivek Ramaswamy is certainly in contention to be vice president. That's something that has been floated our direction, something we've asked directly, and we've been told in the affirmative. We don't know who it's going to be. We haven't been given a name yet, but we certainly haven't been given the name Marco Rubio. That one caught me off guard, ALX. Why would Trump do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, keep everyone on their toes, I guess.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about Marco Rubio, and it was mentioned in the interview, is that he came out and endorsed Trump before DeSantis dropped out. So at that time, both of the Republican senators from Florida were endorsing Trump over DeSantis, which I felt like is like the final nail in the coffin for DeSantis's campaign. And I don't know. I think, he is younger. He is on the younger side. I know they had their little Marco fight back in the day. But it is certainly an interesting name to float out there, because he hadn't kind of really been very close to Trump world in 2016 and 2020. Like, I mean, he ended up endorsing and stuff, but I don't feel like he was, brought into the fold very much into the White House, and wasn't like Ted Cruz. They had their little beef. I'd be more inclined to say like Ted Cruz would be like, I would be less surprised if he picked Ted Cruz than Marco Rubio. Because I wouldn't really consider him like to be ultra like a MAGA guy. So it would be an interesting one to see. But
yeah,
I don't know.
What a strange guy, Marco Rubio. He's like all but disappeared. Like I expected like a lot more from him. I expected him to be kind of a, Obama-like figure. Not an insult. I mean it in the sense of like, younger and maybe charismatic. And the guy used to draw crowds as a presidential candidate. He had some energy behind him as a presidential candidate in 2016. People showed up. People voted for him and liked him by and large. But then he just dropped off the map. I haven't heard from him in 8 years. So where the hell's Marco Rubio gone?
Yeah, I know. I agree.
So speaking of somebody who is on the map, you are very close to New Hampshire. You probably know a lot of people in New Hampshire. Your family in New Hampshire. Your coach spoke at the event tonight. Your thoughts on tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very short night, especially with only 2 people really on the ballot at this point. Vivek's numbers are going to go to Trump, and DeSantis, for the most part, I feel like his numbers are going to go to Trump. So, I mean, it's going to be quicker than Iowa, I think. We're going to get like that one county at midnight. We'll see if they're correct. I think they usually aren't correct, but we'll see, because it's kind of a liberal county.
Dixville Notch.
Yeah, whatever it is. I think it's a more liberal county. So I think it's gonna be a quick night. We're gonna know the results in the first like 10 minutes or whatever after polls close. I know, so some polls do close at like 7, and then that's the earliest they can close, but I think it goes until like half the state goes until like 8 or whatever. But I feel like we'll know pretty quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the name of the city is Dixville Notch. It is a just fact check me, by the way, on that. It is a 6-person town in New Hampshire, and it votes at midnight, famously.
Yep,
But
Dixville Notch.
Dixville Notch. But the person that we all know is the man that will predict the way New Hampshire will go, is the baseball coach of ALX, who's on your screen right now. This is the man.
Tom Daly, what a legend.
Was he a good coach?
Oh yeah, yeah, he was hilarious too. He's so funny.
All right, ALX. We know that you'll be on the stage next time. We know it. We believe it.
We support last thing. Funny thing. Trump asked me that. He said, "Would you want to open up for me at a rally?" I said, "Not really my thing, but hell yeah." So.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, come on. We've seen Roseanne do it. We haven't seen Tucker do it, I don't think. Is that correct?
No, I don't
Not yet?
I don't think he has. I mean, it could very well happen this cycle.
Yeah. We've seen a good cast of characters. ALX, we'll be rooting you on. Trust me, we'll be live when you open for Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the last. I mean, we're doing our best. We thought maybe we thought it was going to be a little longer, the caucuses in Nevada and South Carolina, but may all end tomorrow. So we said, why not? Let's do Donald Trump's speech before New Hampshire votes, starting at midnight tonight. Actually, we'll find out. A little 6-person town will tell us what's up in that teeny little hippie town, and then we will carry on through tomorrow. And we'll, I think, have results quite soon. We'll be going live, of course, tomorrow for our morning show, and then in the evening for the primaries and the official results. And so we shall see you then. Ladies and gentlemen, have an excellent evening. God bless you. And America first. This is the way. See ya.